The dull hour of this episode was worth it for the final 5 minutes. The revelation of a snake, Diamond and Jenard's disbelief, and Tommy's realization that he is more out of the loop than he ever knew all caused gasps and giggles in my home. 10 out of 10, it was the ideal conclusion. During the 3rd episode of Season 3, I began to wonder if everyone was competing to see who could make the most foolish choice this season. Even though it's entertaining, some of the things these people are doing don't quite make sense to me. So far this season, it's just stupid decision. However, occasionally you have to toss spaghetti at the wall to see if it sticks, or something similar. Tommy has always been unpredictable. Even though he might be the smartest person in the room, we've seen him get into some risky situations on multiple occasions due to his emotions. Not to mention that his narcissism frequently prevents him from seeing beyond his narrow perspective. Tommy is so close to achieving his goal of taking over Chicago and controlling the entire city in a manner he was never able to achieve in New York that he can't see anything else. His antics thus far this season have done nothing to strengthen the coalition, which is one of the many moving parts that must cooperate to reach that finish line. Rather, they have further polarized gangs that have no interest in engaging in a cartel conflict. Tommy is not helped at all by gangs leaving the coalition because no one wants to show up like Chavo. Both he and Diamond acknowledge that they are in need of bodies. Nevertheless, Tommy has persisted in pursuing Ortega and advancing his own agenda at every opportunity, which is great for him but not so great for everyone else, rather than upholding and strengthening that coalition. Tommy has a right to get his luck back since Ortega has already attempted to kill him multiple times, and I can see why he would want retribution. But once more, Tommy is only thinking about himself. He has the ability to rise to the top of the food chain. I firmly believe that. However, he won't arrive by himself. At the end of the day, he'll need CBI and others, and these actions aren't exactly winning him over. Even though, the enemy of my enemy is my friend seems to be the title of the game at the moment, I have no idea. Tommy's decision to join the Serbs seemed foolish on paper, and I don't think working with them will be beneficial in the long run because, like all the other gangs, they are opportunistic. But because they both detested Ortega, it worked here. Tommy is the one who takes things a step further by murdering the man's uncle. That will undoubtedly be well received and have no long-term repercussions for him or anyone else he is connected to. Definitely not, when Tommy wasn't hurling elderly men from buildings, he was also attempting to protect Meriya while she was out there making, you guessed it, poor choices. Other than the fact that I don't think Meriya and Tommy make an amazing power couple, I have nothing against her. Overnight, their relationship went from being light-hearted and flirtatious to, I would die for you, and I'm still not impressed. Meriya spent her entire life avoiding her brother's way of life, but now she's in the middle of it, acting incredibly innocent. Miguel did more than simply reprimand her for dating a man he didn't like. He went too far and only gave in when she threatened to harm herself. At that point, he realized that if he didn't make amends and act behind her back, he would lose his sister forever. Naturally, she is unaware of this, but given her familiarity with Miguel and Tommy's methods, she finds it hard to accept that either of them has called a real ceasefire. With egos the size of the Chicago River and sadistic tendencies, they are two sides of the same coin. Would they really sacrifice their goals, which are in direct opposition to each other, for her? I suppose I can understand why she would want to believe it when I say it aloud. She would like to think that the two men she loves so much would also put her ahead of business issues, but once more, she would be foolish to think that these two could ever live in harmony. She can't be making demands of them if she is aware of that, since doing so will only lead to disappointment. Even though it might not happen until the very end of the season, that disappointment is on the horizon. With every hour that goes by, I become more and more certain that Tommy and Meriya will not have a happy ending. However, since that doesn't seem to be the direction this season is taking, they won't be the only ones who don't get to ride off into the sunset. If I had to bet on any characters dying, it would be a mix of d-mack, Vic, and Claudia, with d-mack currently holding the top spot. Although d-mack has always been the worst, something about him in Power Book 4 Season 3 seems to be hitting even harder. He doesn't know when to stop or how to think outside of the streets, and he is incredibly stubborn. I wonder where he gets that from. He doesn't need to be alive to survive, but that is true for many members of the greater power ecosystem. Tommy is right there with him. Tommy would stop at nothing to keep his remaining small family safe. However, d-mack's greatest desire is to emulate Tommy, Diamond, and Jenard. His desire to be respected and feared on the streets will ultimately result in his death. Since the beginning, Diamond's plan to murder d-mack has been absurd because why doesn't he carry out the murder himself? Simply kill him after luring him out somewhere. Given what's going on in the streets, you could literally blame anyone at this point, and there would be no witnesses. In addition to Diamond and Jenard consistently underestimating d-mack, who has occasionally shown that he is not very intelligent, the intricate plan involving the 9/7s was just excessively complicated for no apparent reason. Nevertheless, he will not compromise on anything. I'll give him credit for setting himself up for success by going into that ambush with all of his ducks in a row. They were actually doing well until the gunfight started, at which point you could tell that one of the unfortunate men who had entered last night would perish. However, he has 9 lives, just like his uncle, and I burst out laughing when he entered the barbershop's basement. Even after Diamond persuaded Jenard that killing d-mack was in the best interests of society, they were still unable to carry it out. It seems like the King Kilo issue will persist until he severs his connections with the coalition. After doing some research, Tommy discovers that Diamond has been aware of the hit on d-mack the entire time. That secret simply cannot be kept a secret indefinitely. Unless Diamond tries to hide his own feelings and tells Tommy and d-mack what King Kilo wants, omitting the fact that he fully supported d-mack's demise. In any case, we'll have to wait for that revelation and watch as Diamond and Jenard attempt to explain to Tommy why d-mack is being welcomed back into CBI despite everyone's failure to bring it up. This cliffhanger was ideal in its own right even though it didn't feature a person on the verge of death or a significant declaration. Tommy needed a wake-up call about the things that have been happening around him, and I'm more than willing to see Diamond take a stand and devote himself entirely to Tommy or allow his younger brother to control him. What role does d-mack currently play in all of this? I can't wait to watch these 4 men lie to each other. All I know is that it will be pure cinema. When will she be released from prison, and how long will it be before she and Tommy meet in person? No one on power has been incarcerated this long. Speaking of Claudia, the scene involving her and Vic seemed to represent the entire Flynn family. Walter established a dynamic where the two of them detested each other. The fact that d-mack genuinely believes he is a kingpin is becoming increasingly depressing. I need someone to inform him that he is not Tariq St. Patrick. He is not at all like that. I'm convinced that Tommy will visit New York once more before the show ends because Kate is going back there, and I fervently hope he establishes some connections with some of the original power people. They are missed. It was a good move for Tommy and Diamond to set Miguel's stuff on fire, but why was he pretending Miguel wouldn't recognize him right away? I worry that he is underestimating the whole scenario because he is always playing in Miguel's face, believing that Miguel's devotion for his sister will keep him safe. I was aware that Chavo was dead when he received so much screen time, but Tommy's passing will probably make the rest of the coalition even more wary of him. Would that allow Jenard to intervene and come to the rescue once more? Or is Tommy truly going to cause the coalition to disintegrate? Diamond must take action and kill d-mack personally if he truly wants him dead. Because she didn't want to be involved in her brother's shenanigans, Meriya is actually the funniest person on the entire show. However, because she loves Tommy Egan, she is now right in the center of things, playing mob nurse and getting shot at. Diamond is precise in a manner that Tommy and Jenard will never be, and he's the kind of cool-headed person they might only imagine. He wants to rise to the top of the food chain, just like them, but he doesn't want to achieve it in the same manner. Although Diamond occasionally acts as Tommy's defender, he also recognizes Tommy's benefits in a way that Jenard is too blind to. Jenard perceives someone who is stealing from him and an intruder. Someone in what he feels ought to be his own place. He is unwilling to set aside his pride in order to recognize the benefits of working really with someone like Tommy. In addition, Shanti, who is quite convincing, is in his ear every 5 seconds reminding him that they must rule the world. Shanti is a fascinating character because she is well liked on the streets, yet it's obvious that being a woman has kept her where she is. I will say it till the very end, Shanti, Jenard, Tommy, and Diamond working together would be everything. She is intelligent, cunning, and cunning.